that is shaking up Germany's otherwise sleepy campaign season. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Jim Clancy, and this is The Brief. Anger and despair grow by the minute in Taiwan as survivors of a typhoon face an agonizing wait for help to find missing loved ones. The government is intensifying rescue and relief efforts, but it's being criticized by many as showing up with too little too late. 4,000 more Army troops are headed to the disaster areas. With many roads and bridges cut off, rescuers are now using helicopters, boats, even chairs rigged on zip lines to try to reach villagers. 62 people now officially missing. The death toll has climbed to 108. Now, more than half of those killed lived in Kaohsiung County, where entire villages were virtually wiped away by mudslides and flooding. Our John Voss is there. He joins us now. John, you've talked with some of the survivors there, and there are a lot of reports they are angry. But what kind of a world are they living in now?
Well, Jimmy, I was down at a shelter earlier tonight. It's a Buddhist monastery. The monks there have opened their doors and spoke with some of the survivors, and there really is a sense of helplessness there. They've lost families, they've lost friends, homes, everything. They're sleeping on straw mats on the floor. They don't really know not just what the future will be, they just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And there is this sense that the people that I spoke to, they're looking for someone to blame. Having said that, into all that anger, there does seem to be a lot of questions being asked by a lot of people about this government response, Jim.
Well, how has the government performance been? Where's the criticism coming from?
Well, the criticism is coming from the people who are left high and dry, stranded on hilltops for days. One man told me that when the mud came down on Sunday, they climbed to the highest point they could find, and there they waited. They thought someone would come Sunday night, no one. They thought someone would come Monday, no one. Finally, on Tuesday, the choppers turned up and everyone cried. Many here are saying the rescuers didn't act fast enough, and when they did, not enough was done. Taiwan's President Ma, he may have made things a little bit worse for himself when he was answering some of those allegations. He said essentially that the victims don't understand the complexity of dealing with this type of disaster. Of course, a huge backlash on the internet, on the blogs. They even get down to politics. There are accusations that, in broad terms, the southern part of Taiwan is a stronghold for the opposition, the north is for the government. Some here are saying if this disaster had happened in the north, the government would have acted very differently. Also saying that national pride got in the way of asking for international assistance. Now, is all that true? It really is hard to say, but what we do know is that there will be an investigation now by an independent government department just to find out precisely what happened and what went wrong, Jim.
How many fears are there that there's a lot of people, we're looking at a death toll that's surprisingly low. We're looking at the number of missing that's surprisingly low when we hear the reports coming from the field. What is the reality between these official numbers and what's happening?
The reality is it is just going to take time before we know how many people have died and how many are missing and how many will never, ever be found, because they're still trying to get to these villages in these remote mountain regions. Many of the roads have simply been washed away. The only way in and out is by air. They are finding survivors. They are finding those who have been unaccounted for by their thousands in some instances. But the big concern is that once they get those roads cleared, once they can get rescue workers into those areas en masse and they start clearing this mud out and they start finding out just how many people, how many bodies are still buried beneath that mud. Just take the village of Shaolin, for example, the one that was covered completely in mud. We've heard 100 people buried dead there. We've heard 300. We've heard 600. The reality is we just don't know. It's going to take time before we do, Jim.
John Voss, in the middle of the night, reporting with us there from Taiwan. John, we really appreciate having you here on The Brief. Now, CNN has set up a special section of our website to try to help the victims of Typhoon Marikot. It has links to the Red Cross.